Ladies and gentlemen, all of the Eagles galaxy, universe, multiverse, whatever. We're back for another episode of the Eagles Elite Podcast. You have me here, your boy Cool McCain. You also have beside me,
Of course, Wyatt, as always, from Cinema Trip Reviews and Squad Pod Sports.
yes, sir. And we're here to talk to you about the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, there's a Thursday night game, special night. But listen, after what transpired on Sunday and what's coming, we had to move things around a little bit. We had to be here
Yeah,
to talk to you
absolutely.
guys. We had to look to give you our insights, our thoughts, our opinions, our beliefs, our feelings, all that on what happened last week.
Weren't going to miss it.
Could not miss it. The only thing that would stop me was if I didn't have a voice, and I got one. So guess what? I'm here, baby. I'm here. So yeah, we're gonna remind everyone about one thing. Once we do that, we're gonna hop into the bread, the meat, the potatoes, all that.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yes,
Like
sir.
every week. So, ladies and gentlemen, a lot transpired on Sunday from 1 p.m. to about 4:15.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna let my co-host here, Wyatt, kind of talk to you about some of the things that he felt about the game. And I'm gonna give you some thoughts on that as well. We've got the time that we can go in depth a little bit and break some things down. So, Wyatt, the floor is yours, sir.
Well, first and foremost, coming out of the first week one of the NFL season, it feels amazing to have that dub, going out of week one. So, I mean, this week, man, you've been kind of riding that high. We can go through Sunday. We don't have to worry about a game on Sunday because we play Monday night. So we kind of get to sit on it a little longer and enjoy it. Now, even though we won, this game was ugly by by all means. I mean, if you look at some of the stats as far as offenses, like offense and offensively, they're actually pretty good. I mean, we were able to put up how many points? 38 points with a touchdown from the defense in a game one of the season, which is rare. Normally it takes a couple weeks for the defense to kick in and start getting some turnovers, to have that on week one, it is a good sign, but man, the rest of the defense, it looked terrible. I mean, there was a couple, I believe it was like the second quarter and third quarter, we were kind of holding them a little bit. They gave them a couple 3-and-outs and then they had that pick six. But for the rest of the time, man, it's just Jonathan Gannon's defense too, because you barely got to see much of Jordan Davis in this game. When he was in, they weren't able to run on us nearly as well. Swift was just tearing us apart for 90% of this game. And we just had no answer for him. And we talked about it, coming into the season. Last year, Gannon had that excuse because he didn't have the personnel he needed. Now, Howie gave him all the weapons he needed, and still nothing's really changing as of right now. So, I mean, the corners are still playing, what, like 10 yards back. We're still only rushing 4. We're not blitzing nearly as much as we should, putting pressure on the QB. When really this should have been easier for this team. I mean, we should have put them away and then had that, a pretty comfortable lead for the most part to close out the game. And I feel like everybody would have felt a lot better going into week 2 against a Vikings team than where we're at right now. But I mean, as far as the offense, we were able to march down the field pretty successfully for the most part up until probably, third, fourth quarter, until we needed to, until the Lions started catching up a little bit. That's when they kind of lit the fire under the team. We were able to drive down the field. Jalen Hurts, if we'd had another quarterback other than Jalen Hurts, we would probably lost this game, to be honest. Jalen Hurts saved with his feet so many times. I did have a stat here about he had a combined 256 offensive yards in the first half, which is the most offensive yards he's produced in the first half of his career so far. So this has been an improvement from last year as far as offensively. We didn't get to see much out of Devontae Smith, unfortunately, but the biggest, name of the game was AJ Brown. Man, he came to play. He had the most receiving yards ever from a player in their Eagles debut with 143. Oh, he had 155 whenever they ended there. But I mean, that's exactly what you want to see. It's encouraging out of a top receiver you went out to get, and he's producing like this. And you got to see him dragging dudes that were holding on to him for the yards after catch. This is exactly why we brought him in. There's a lot of stuff to clean up going into week 2, but I think there were some positives to get out of this as well. But it is only week 1 though.
Yep. So in regards to AJ Brown, I have one thing I want you guys to know.
But the cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
And that's what AJ Brown did.
Exactly.
So for me, I agree a lot of what you said. I was unhappy with Steichen as well, especially the fourth quarter, because I felt like instead of playing to win the game, we did that Andy Reid crap that I hated every time he was here. We got a lead and we stopped being aggressive.
Exactly.
We were running the ball a lot, but then all of a sudden we started doing this. Like, why are we doing this crap?
Mm-hmm.
We start getting away from the things that got us there. We started the game off by giving up a major, 51-yard run to Devontae Smith. This dude ended up with 15 catches for 144 yards. Carries, for 144 yards.
Mm-hmm.
He averaged almost 10 yards a carry on the Philadelphia Eagles defense.
Yeah.
Right? They had several guys that had multiple catches. This should have been cleaner for us offensively. Should have been cleaner for us defensively. I will say this at the beginning of the game. A lot of people have complained about Jalen Hurts in this game, which I think is a joke. But I want people to understand one simple thing. That brother was in duress.
Yeah.
In that first quarter.
O-line was not holding, and they were blitzing a lot. They were pulling the pressure on him, and that's exactly what was kind of his kryptonite last year.
Yeah, he was under a lot of duress.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that the team needs to clean up.
Mm-hmm.
As far as AJ Brown, man, I mean, AJ Brown's just a monster. If I'm AJ Brown, I walk off the field, the first thing I go, woo! That's what I'm doing after that.
Pretty much after every play, every drive, you get to say that.
Yeah, he really, really, really just played really well, man. Like, a lot of energy, very physical, like you said, dragging people. So I want to address all the people. I heard some stuff today from uneducated Eagles fans and for fans of other teams.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to understand something. To try to come out of your mouth and say that Jalen Hurts is a running back is disrespectful.
It is. Straight disrespectful.
The way that man fitted that ball in on some throws to AJ Brown.
Yeah. I forget when it was, but specifically that one that went straight between the two defenders, right into his hands.
That slant route that was like,
boom,
he caught it and he was able to go.
I don't know how he did that, man.
You don't do things like that if you don't have quarterbacking skills.
Mhm.
Tim Tebow, who everyone loved, could not do that. Okay? There's a lot of quarterbacks I can name that I don't think can make that play. And I'm not saying that he is the best quarterback in the league. I never said that.
Yeah.
I told you before the season started, I told all you fans of this team and other teams, even if he plays no different than the way he played last year, let's just say there's no progression. Putting AJ Brown on the team makes progression. And for those who try to say he looked at the first route and went, if AJ Brown has beat the guy, you stay on the first route. For
Mhm.
those of you who don't understand why you have different reads, you have a first read. If that read is there, you take that read. If that read's not there, then you move to the second read. That read's not there, you quickly move to the third read if there is a third read on the play. If you don't have time, you pull the ball down and you run when you have the athletic ability to. That's what he
Yeah.
did. I also want to shout out the running game because for the first time in a long time, we controlled the game with the run.
Mhm.
Four people, the quarterback and all three of the active running backs scored a touchdown.
Yeah, and I wanted to shout out because I didn't know if you were going to give him a shout out. Miles Sanders, man, came to play. He came and he showed out. He finally got a touchdown. It was like his first touchdown since 2019,
Right.
which is exactly what you said that we needed is Miles Sanders getting a touchdown. But he ended up with 96 yards as well. I mean, he was very efficient on the
On
ground. I mean, Jalen Hurts ended up with
13
90.
carries.
Yeah. And he pretty much saved us there at the end of the game.
Mhm.
On that where we needed that first down, he kind of got into that log jam. I thought he was going to go down, but he ended up turning it into a huge run.
Yep. He averaged 7.4 yards a carry. Jalen Hurts had 90 yards on 17 carries. You think about this is with a couple of plays where he got hit at the line or behind the line, had to go down.
Mm-hmm.
We got 5 out of Gainwell, but a touchdown. We got 4 out of Scott, but one of them was a touchdown. Here's the thing, man. If we can run the ball that way, and I'm not saying that's going to work every game against every team, but if we can run the ball that way, there are going to be weeks where Devontae Smith might not get a lot of catches. There may be weeks where AJ Brown doesn't get a lot of catches.
Yeah.
I've heard people talking about how Devontae Smith is being wasted, and how could he not throw Devontae the ball and really focus on AJ Brown? Well, I want to explain something to you guys. We played the Lions last year. Devontae Smith went ape nuts on them last year. Due to that, this season, what's the game plan? Devontae Smith burnt us last year, so we're going to make sure that he doesn't do it again. And they did a good job of that. For those who say, Devontae Smith only got like 3 passes thrown, it's actually 5 or more, but I remember at least 2 that were called back for penalties. One was a
Yeah, and
very
then
good
one.
play early in the game. It was about like 15, 20 yard, nice throw, nice catch, but it got called back for a penalty. May have been more. So the thing is, if you don't watch the games, how can you say? So here's my beef. I watched the Eagles game. So any other 1:00 game, I can give you intuition on. I can go back and watch the game afterwards, right? Maybe the condensed game or whatever, and see what happened. But if you didn't watch the game, if you didn't go watch the game from the beginning to the end, how can you say what Jalen Hurts did or didn't do? He
Yeah,
threw
you
for
don't get the whole
243
story.
yards. He ran for another 90 yards. He made throws when they were needed. There were
Mhm.
times where he needed to take off. We had that 3rd and 15. I was like, man, we stunk. And he got like 18 yards on the run. Now, here's where my beef is. We complain, we cry all the time when people hit certain quarterbacks. He's not the Michael Vick runner. He's not those guys. He's going down and he's getting hit almost every time. They're only
Yeah.
calling it like every 5 or 6 times. But every time he runs, when he sees how much yardage he can get, he's doing what you teach quarterbacks to do, and he's sliding and he's still getting hit.
Mm-hmm. They're not calling it.
Why is that not getting called? And don't give me the whole, he's a running quarterback, and when you run, you give yourself up and you become a running back. Oh, so when Tom Brady runs, he becomes a running back? When Jared Goff runs, he becomes a running back? Does that happen?
No.
Because if you're going to apply that to Jalen Hurts, I want it to apply to every single solitary quarterback in the league. Justin Herbert, Matt Ryan, all those guys. Don't make me go through the list. Every single quarterback. If you're going to apply that to mine, treat everybody the same, but you're not.
Yeah.
right?
They only called it when it looked like it was helmet to helmet contact.
Yeah. But when you give yourself up by the NFL rules, if you're a quarterback, you're running the ball, and you begin to slide and you're contacted, that should be a personal foul.
Agreed.
If you're not going to do it, take it out of the rule book. Oh, but you're not going to take it out of the rule book because you want to apply it to who you want to apply it to. But guess what? Even with your half crap calling of what should have happened, and there was a questionable call with Detroit. I can see how maybe Lions fans would be a little frustrated. But guess what? You beat my quarterback up and they didn't call it, so I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, and they were getting away with a lot of holding for
Yeah.
most of the game too.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of those like big run plays, there was a
Mhm.
lot of holding that just was blatant no call. And normally, I mean, obviously there's like holding on every play, but there was blatant holding on some of these plays that just completely ignored.
Yeah. And also, you do not, as a defensive coordinator, go into prevent in the fourth quarter. You continue to attack. You don't start dropping people 5-10 yards off. You don't go into this prevent crap. You continue to attack. You continue to do what got you there. 14 points were given to Detroit. And I'm not saying Detroit didn't earn them, but when you put the holes in the defense, the other team is going to exploit them. When you stop calling aggressive defenses, when you start playing soft, sissy defense, it's going to get called. They're going to hurt you. They're going to make you pay for doing it, and that's what happened. So
it's playing scared.
Yeah, my expectation coming up, man, I want to see those guys be allowed to continue to play their game. Bradbury had a great pick. We needed that. Without that pick, we don't win the game because we decided to stop playing defense. We put up a big second quarter, and then we just kind of from there, we did do some things in the third quarter. We did score, but like it just felt like our peak was the second quarter.
Yeah.
And that's disappointing because we're better than that. We can play better than that. All we really need is to continually play. We scored 0 points in the first quarter, 24 in the second quarter, 14 in the third, none in the fourth. Not even a field goal. Do you mean to tell me Detroit figured out our defense from the third to the fourth quarter? No, they didn't. Our offense or our defense, no. We decided to stop calling plays that would help. We decided to stop being aggressive. The best thing I can say is the first thing you said. We came out with a win.
Yeah.
That's the most important part. We did come out with the win. How we got there? I can't really be happy about it, but I can be content in the fact that winning cures everything.
Yeah. And the way I also kind of see it, if you want to look at some light into it, is even though we played some rough ball, they were still able to pull it together and come out with the win in the end, which it shows some resiliency behind the team. It shows that everybody's bought in and that everybody's going to fight until that, the clock gets to zero. It's just the way about it, it didn't really go that well. It was very sloppy. But they were still able to fight to pull it together to get that win, which it's kind of a good thing in a way, because the team's going to go down fighting, but I blame it more on the coaching as far as like Jonathan Gannon and the scheme. But man, I was not impressed with that defensive line either. That they've been hyping up this whole time, talking about depth and everything. We only had one sack, and that was close towards the end of the game. We weren't getting any pressure on them.
Yeah.
So they need to change something.
What I don't understand, we had the injury, right? Where was Jordan Davis?
Yeah.
My understanding, what I was told, what I was shown, what I was led to believe all preseason, since the draft, he was going to be a big part of the team. Obviously not starting. I get that. That's a role that you have to earn. You don't just walk into a team and become the starter, especially with a line like us. But once you had the injury, which depleted us, why didn't you do something about it? Why didn't you make a change? That's why I kind of look and say, well, what happened? What was the reasoning that we had to not make that happen? That's what I kind of want to know. I just need to know why. What was the reasoning? Right? Derek Barnett is out. Tore his ACL. Done.
Yeah.
So once Barnett was out, why wasn't Davis in? Switch the line around, get Jordan Davis some carries. Get him in the game. Give some reps. Excuse me, not carries, but reps. Still thinking about running backs. Get him some reps. Let us see what he can do. The
Yeah,
whole thing about this is we're fresh in the season. We're early. You're going to have a bigger role for him with the Barnett injury. You're going to have to switch some things around. You should have went ahead and did it because couldn't have turned out any worse.
true,
When you had the
true.
opportunity, and that's the thing that kills me about it. I want to see us go out. I want to see us be aggressive. I want to see us slap people around. I want foots on throats. I'm not the we should rest our guys fourth quarter unless we're up big and it's late in the game, 7 minutes or less left. I want the starters in.
Yeah. You got
I
to
don't
take
care how much we're
chances
up by.
too. Can't be playing scared. You got to take chances and try to get those big plays. Because if you're just playing 10 yards back, playing zone or whatever, you're not going to get those big plays. You're just going to let them just take these small chunks or big chunks out of the field until you get to the end zone. And then it's a bend not break thing. And then they probably come up with 3 points anyway. You got to take your chances, especially with as much depth that you say you have. And you went out and got all these pieces. You can afford to do that. And they're going to have to going into this Monday night game we'll talk about then.
Yeah.
But the other thing I want to mention, because like you said, we didn't score anything in that first. Uh, they were definitely coming off a little rusty. We predicted that. There's a lot of miscommunication. I look at that. He had a one pass to Devontae Smith that just like bounced off his back because he wasn't ready. He was still, fighting with the CB. Um, but there was a couple of those different plays. There was just miscommunication. There wasn't anything there. The other gripe that I have is just, man, I understand that hurts. If a play breaks down, he has to run with his feet. But man, I feel like there was way too many designed runs for him, it seemed. And you have how many running backs on your roster? They all got touchdowns. You should be using those guys more. You shouldn't have to use your starting QB to run as much as he is, unless he has to. I understand some, just these plan plays here and there, but man, it doesn't give me a good feeling watching Hurts run how many times, like 20, like 10, 15 times a game.
It was 17.
Especially,
Yeah.
yeah, especially sliding and getting hit when he is sliding. You can't sustain that for a whole season. It's just, you can't play like that. It's not going to work. You're going to end up, running into some injury problems if that happens. You have the running backs. I know nobody wants to see Miles Sanders go down and get hurt, but then rotate them. You have other running backs to use. You shouldn't be running your QB all this time. I mean, even the first Thursday night game, Josh Allen was running all like pretty much every time. I was getting nervous. I was like, man, they should not be running Josh Allen like this.
Yeah.
Same thing with Hurts on Sundays. Like, I don't want to see them putting him in harm's way if they don't have to. When you have Miles Sanders, who's averaging seven yards a rush, like, come on now.
Right. I mean, I definitely agree with you. 100% agree with you. We just have to be better at what happened, man. We just have to be better. I mean, it's the first game, so I'm not in a situation where I feel like, everything's over. It's all good with because one game. But what I can say is we need more.
Yeah.
We have to be better. The expectation is for us to be better. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're not the greatest ever at everything. We can always be better, but there's more to us than that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I mean, and everybody, and the thing is, at this point in the season, it was his first game. We don't really know these teams' identities other than what we knew about them last year. We don't know what the Lions are going to look like this year. I mean, a lot of people have been talking about them. They ended up getting some good pieces in the offseason. They had hard knocks leading up to this season. It seemed like Dan Campbell kind of put a fire under them going into this game. They had a sold out stadium. I feel like there was a lot of things going into their momentum going into this game. So I think that has to do with it tiny bit, but I mean, you can't mistake some of the glaring problems that's going on with the defense here. As far as the Eagles, I mean, the offense has its problems. They were a little rusty, but for the most part, they were getting yardage. They were putting up points. They were doing exactly what they needed to do.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. I think a lot of people, including maybe us, underestimated the Lions as far as our fan base, not necessarily us individually, because we had a Lions fan that hopped in with us last week, and we kind of talked about some things. The fact is, the Lions have a decent receiving core. They clearly have a good running game, and their defense is not garbage. Let's talk about their quarterback, Jared Goff, 21-37, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 1 pick six. Swift had 15 carries for 144 yards.
Oof.
Williams had 11 for 28. Goff even had 2 for 9. Right?
Yeah.
Amon Ross St. Brown, he had 8 for 64 in a touchdown. DJ Chark had 4 for 52 in a touchdown. These were those fourth quarter plays. Hawkinson had 4 for 38. Swift had 3 for 31. Reynolds had 1 for 28. Williams had 1 for 2. We also had 2 touchdowns from Williams on the ground and then 1 from Swift. So they scored in a multitude of different ways on us. The 2 late scores, truthfully, they're unacceptable, but you play the scheme that you're given. I'm a firm believer in for defense. And Jonathan Gann, if you sneak listening, you need to hear this. Because we know how he does, right?
Yeah.
But
how he'll put it in his ear.
Exactly. If you sneak listen, this is what I want you to understand. You know the personnel that you have. You know what works well. Do that. We don't have to be cute. We don't have to change. We don't have to run prevent. Continue to dominate. I'll take a 3-point win in the first week of the season, but we don't need to be in week 4, week 5, week 6 talking about how the defense is giving up too many points because they have the wrong scheme. They're being used wrong. They're backing up. They're not playing the way that the team needs to play to be successful. We don't need to continue to talk about this. It's okay for week 1. I can live with it because we have to get ourselves together. We have to get the team right. A lot of the guys are playing together for the first time. They didn't play a lot in the preseason, which I think is a mistake when you have a lot of revamped positions and starters that don't play a lot together. I think they needed more time. The defense on the field, offense, not so much. We saw it wasn't as bad for them this first game. They got stagnated in the fourth, but again, I think that was 99% play calling.
Yeah. Defense, there was a lot of missed tackles. And that's something that could have at least been helped by getting a little bit more preseason reps or live tackling in practice.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I could, it's just so much that should have been different in that game, especially that second half. I'm not one of those people that's going to sit here for the whole season and gripe about it. I'm going to talk about it because I want people to understand that we talk a lot about the players, offensively, defensively. We have to also hold the play callers accountable. They have a expectation that they need to be held to. They need to make sure that these guys are in the right positions. They need to make sure that they're capitalizing on the talents. I didn't like as many design runs as there were for Hurts. The times where he kind of had to improvise and run, I don't mind, but I don't like a lot of call runs. There were a couple of the RPO runs that he got tricked on, which happens. But I don't like called runs. Like I don't like QB boots and different stuff like that. Don't put the quarterback in that situation.
Yeah. I don't like it either.
Yeah, he does enough running off the cuff. If he gets hurt, I'm not wishing injury on him at all, but if he gets hurt, this season takes a very negative turn.
Yeah.
I like Gardner Minshew. He's a spot guy, but we don't want him to have to try to win us games and get us to the playoffs.
Yeah, we would have lost that game if Gardner Minshew was playing.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, he saved us with his athletic ability. He did. The defense saved us with a touchdown, but then they gave up points. But again, a lot of that's on the coordinator. Stay aggressive. 4 quarters, all 60 minutes. Play hard. Don't give it up. Don't let other teams back in the game. I want to smack everybody. I want to put my foot on everybody's throat. I want to drive everybody into the ground. I want to win. I don't care if it's by 3. I don't care if it's by 21, but I want us to play solid the entire game. The Lions team was better than most people anticipated. We said last week it was going to be a close game. We said we'd win. Here's the thing. We did that, but if we don't improve, we're looking down the week after this first 4 or 5 weeks, the schedule gets a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
But there is one difficult game in this first about 4 or 5 games, and that's this Monday night. This Monday night is going to be tough. We got to be ready for that.
First real test of the season.
Mm-hmm. And this is a team, guys. Before I go there, why is there anything else that you want to discuss in regards to the previous week's game?
The only thing I wanted to mention was just talk about like a good thing that we mentioned is because we talked about it leading up to the season here is it seemed like Shane Steichen and the offense really kind of got what they wanted to do. They have their system in place, it seems. We don't have to complain about running the ball now at this point. It seems like they're evenly distributing the ball by running it and passing it through the air. It seems so far, I mean, it is only week 1. It seems like this offense is off to a good start, and it seems like they can put up points at will as long as they stay consistent with the play calling.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I want to put a little bow on the previous week's game. We're about halfway through the show, so give us ample time to talk about what we want to happen next week, what we expect to happen. But last thoughts. I love a win. I'll take any win. At the same time, the margin of victory and how you play can sometimes be important. Getting a win when you probably shouldn't, in the way we played in that fourth, we probably shouldn't have got a win. But we did. The game shouldn't have been that close. Watch out for the Lions. I will say they are better than advertised. I did say that they would win probably 7-8 games this year. We did our previews on play callers, so I'm not surprised that they were better than we thought. I'm not
They're going to
surprised
take
at all.
them commies down this weekend. They play them.
Yeah. So we're going to see what happens with that game because we know one team we're not going to mention that's probably not going to win this weekend.
Yeah, they got enough problems that it is. We don't need to be talking about them.
Yeah, they got 99 problems, and QB is one. But,
yeah.
We just have to be more consistent. We have to play better. The next matchup is definitely going to be harder. So we'll shift gears. We'll hop into the second matchup, or this weekend's matchup. So you look back at Minnesota, Wyatt, and I'll say this real quick and I'll let you give your thoughts. Minnesota played a Green Bay team that could not move the ball offensively. I'm not going really as far as the passing game, let me say. They ran decently, but when you can't throw, you know what happens to the run. But I think a lot of people were surprised by what happened, and not that the Vikings won, but how they were able to just throttle and thrash this supposedly juggernaut of a team in Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I wasn't really sold. I know like Aaron Rodgers is a 2-time MVP. I wasn't really high on the Packers going into the season, especially with losing Devontae Adams, and they lost Marquez Valdez-Scantling as well. So they lost two pretty big weapons. Yeah, Lazard didn't play, so they were missing some key pieces there on offense. But I just wasn't really sold on them going into the season here. I'm not sure how they're going to do. But man, if we got to contain the run better this game, or what's his name?
Dalvin Cook.
Blanking. Dalvin Cook is going to run.
And Madison.
Yeah, are going to run all over us. And not only that, I know you mentioned about like the Lions having some decent pieces as far as receivers. You got Justin Jefferson to worry about. And we were able to contain the Lions passing offense a little bit better because they don't have, not the talent that the Vikings have. You got to not only worry about Justin Jefferson, you got to worry about Adam Thielen as well. And Justin Jefferson can go off at any time. They're going to have to double cover him or something. I'm not really worried about the offense as much, more so like the offensive line. Hopefully they can hold up a little better than they did against the Lions. I would love to see Hurts with more time in that pocket than he was, accustomed to in that first game. I would like to see him in that pocket with some more time. Then you can really see what he can do as far as a passing game, how he can progress through his reads, get to that open guy, make some big plays that we saw some big plays in the first week, but I think there's some more bigger plays that are in the bag we have yet to see. So hopefully we can see some of those. I am way more worried about our defense going into this Monday night game than the offense. Hopefully, Nick Sirianni is getting into Jonathan Gannon's head a little bit, saying, you got to change something here. Put Jordan Davis in that lineup, try to smother that run game, and then try to figure something out with Justin Jefferson. Because this is going to be the real big test for this defense. This is the reason you went out and got all these pieces. The linebackers. You went and got a Bradbury for the corner. You got safeties now. So put all those pieces together and try to find a way to make this work, because this is a big test. And I mean, that score, the Packers and Vikings, was 23-7. It could have been easily way more than that. I think the Vikings kind of let their foot off the gas as well, because they were just blowing out the Packers. Packers weren't able to do anything at that point. Um, I don't know. Being a Philly fan all these years, I just have doubts going in this game. Like, I know nobody wants to say that. Something about it just, I know something's going to happen in this game. Like, I could just feel an L coming. And I know we kind of predicted it when we did our predictions a couple weeks back. I hope we win, though. It's the Monday night home opener at the Link. Yeah, the stadium is going to be rocking. I know AJ Brown's talking about being excited to be out there. Not really, like I said, not worried about the offense, man. It's just that defense. Can they get it together in this game? If so, I think they can. I don't know if there's really any way you can contain Justin Jefferson, but do enough to prevent him from getting 150 yards and how many touchdowns,
Yeah. I think it's a few key things to look at. Eric Kendricks, we've got to pay attention to on their defense. He's a guy that can be disruptive. They have a solid line as well. It may not be a top 5 line, but it's a solid defensive line. Their DBs were able to do some things last week. Again, when I look at these things, I also have to talk about what you were just saying. The top 3 weapons from last year are gone for Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers complained all preseason about his wide receivers and everything. So we've got to see someone emerge from the group they have. Don't know who that's going to be yet, but it didn't happen last week. I think the running backs, Jones should do more, this week. Maybe he's a guy that's get targeted in the pass game as well for them going forward. Now, as far as us against Minnesota, I'd say for Minnesota, 100% real. Justin Jefferson is going to thrash us every game until his career is over. Mm-hmm. Interviewed him. He wanted to be an Eagle. He thought he was going to be an Eagle. We passed up on him for Jalen Reagor, who is now his teammate, by the way.
Yeah.
He is going to be a problem for us until he no longer plays in the NFL. That's something we have to live with because we had the opportunity and we didn't pick him. That's the same thing that happened with DK Metcalf. When he plays us, he plays more focused and better than he normally plays because he's upset, because he knows what happened and that we had the chance and we scorned him. Whenever you do that, things get ugly. We did it. Things are going to get ugly. That's just a fact of the matter. It's a fact of life. It is what it is. What I'll also say, Minnesota is going to try to mimic Detroit with the run game early.
Yeah.
So be prepared. That first drive or two, they're going to come out and try to bust big runs. You've got to get big Jordan Davis in the game. He's got to get snaps. He needs to be out there. We need to rotate in the Kobe Dean. There'll be things that they'll miss. There'll be things that they get wrong. The assignment might be missed. They might make a couple of plays. It is what it is. They're never going to get the season if they don't get the opportunity. Freshness is important. We did not rotate enough in that fourth quarter. Also, we played off and we didn't rotate. The same guys were playing too much. Those things have to change. Minnesota has enough weapons that if Kirk Cousins is playing well, which is a big if, but if he is playing well in that game, that could be dangerous. Hey, they could be coming off of, what they feel is their Super Bowl by beating Green Bay, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, this is still Kirk Cousins we're talking about. And he has like those, he'll have a good game or two, and then he'll go back to old Kirk Cousins with another terrible game or two. And that's where the line's going to come in as well. We got to get more pressure. Start, putting 5 men out there rushing up on him. Get him uncomfortable. That way he has to get the ball out quicker. Maybe Justin Jefferson isn't ready yet. Make it harder for him to get the ball to these receivers. And I think that's, like I mentioned, it's going to be coming down to these defenses, which one of them can stop the opposing offenses more. Because I feel like the offenses, they can have their way with us. We could probably have their way with their defense as well. It's going to be coming down to these defenses, who can stop who the most. and especially on a Monday night primetime game, man, this could be a shootout. It's possible. I'm hoping it's not like that. I don't need another stressful game 2 weeks in a row, man. I don't. My heart can't take it, especially after a week 1. Come on against the Lions. Like, man, I was so frustrated with this defense. Please don't do it to me again, Gannon. I can't do it.
Well, I'll say this. I think the best strategy I would say was to say, you know what? We know Justin Jefferson is going to get his. If we can hold him to 125 or less, I think we win that matchup. The other receivers they're putting out there, Adam Thielen, KJ Osborne, Stone, Hands, Code himself, Jalen Rigger, if he's out there.
I know he's going to be out there. He's going to try to get a revenge game against us at something.
They should be getting a revenge game against
us. I fully am preparing for them to have like a specific big play for him in the package, just so he can have his revenge on us. I bet it's going to be in there somewhere.
I hope we do. And I hope that when the play happens, that we read it and we see his hands of Stone self coming and we just get in position and take that ball from him. Or if we can't take the ball from him, I hope he gets blasted as soon as the ball gets to him.
Gets just
and he
annihilated.
Gets, just obliterated, annihilated. And the ball goes up in the air and we play tip drill and get it. I just want to win the game.
Yeah.
I'm not like, we need to make sure that this person doesn't do that person doesn't do that. We need to hold Justin Jefferson to 125 or less.
Yeah, I agree.
We got 2 corners that should be able to at least do that. I'm not saying we're going to stop him from getting points, or getting yards. I'm thinking fantasy-wise, but, getting points in fantasy football. But we should stop him from getting actual touchdowns. That's what we need to make sure we focus on. We need to be sure up front. We need to make sure we're rotating properly, keeping guys rested. When we get the ball, we need to be running a lot, which we did early in the game. Let's keep our defense off the field and their defense on the field. Let's wear their defense down so that when we get in the fourth quarter, this time we're the team who's getting those extra couple of scores, even though we're hopefully already up.
Yeah.
We just need to be aggressive. We just need to make people understand that the Philadelphia Eagles had some glitches in week 1, some things that didn't go quite like we want them to, but that's not the norm. And that's what we need to make sure people understand. That's not the norm for the Eagles. That's not how we normally play. We go out there and we give it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it is week 1. It's going to take a couple weeks for these teams to start finding their rhythm, finding their identities for the season. Man, I would love nothing more than to come out of a week 2 Monday night game with a dub, because we're going to be wilding on Wednesday. If that happens, whether if it's a 3-point win or what, a win's a win, especially on Monday night against a good team. Silence some of these haters that say that Hurts can't beat, good teams. Those haters are still out there. Beat a good team. Well, here's your chance. If you want to call the Vikings a good team, I guess. But I think I put them above average. I think they're trending upwards. I still don't trust Kirk Cousins though. So he's going to have one of those games, one of those old classic Kirk Cousins games. And hopefully it's against us. And hopefully the defense can do something against it and do something with it. Some of the opportunities that he gives, because he's going to make some dumb throws. It's just, can they, go off of that?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot, right? There's a lot to unpack, really, if you think about it. Let's think about it this way. Jalen Hurts is facing a quote-unquote better defense than last week, based on stats or whatever, right? So if he can come prepared to throw, because I think what you're going to have happen is people think the book is out for Jalen Hurts. Make him throw the ball. Don't allow him to run as much, and you can take a lot away from him. But here's the problem with that. If you're going to take away his running lanes, that means you're going to have somebody spy the QB. If you're going to take somebody to spy the QB, that means there's 10 on 10, the rest of the field after that. So what that means is that person is going to have to be close enough to the line where they can't react to big plays that happen, down the field. So I think if you get in those situations where you see the spy coming, that's when you let them rip. It doesn't have to be 30, 40, 50-yard throws. It could just be a nice place throw in a good spot. Speaking of that, there was the first throw to Dallas Goedert where he just kind of lobbed the ball real nicely, put it where only Dallas Goedert could get it.
Yeah.
Touch. Goddard was able to grab it and then run with it. Those are the type of things that people don't want to give him credit for that want to knock him as a quarterback. What does it hurt? And I want someone to tell me. I want someone to send me a message on Facebook. Explain to me what does it hurt to give a player on your team props when they play well. What does it hurt? Especially QB1. Whether you love him, whether you hate him, whether you like him, why not give him props for the things that he's done well? Me or Wyatt, anyone that's been on this show, anyone that's coming on this show that's an Eagles fan, for the most part, it's not saying he's great, but what we're saying is give him the opportunities. Acknowledge the things that he is doing well. Let's hope that the team continues to build off that and become a team that can win, a playoff series, a playoff game. They can go deep in the playoffs and maybe all the way to the Super Bowl. Not guaranteeing it, but I'm saying we got to get to the playoffs first. Let's win a division. It's very open now, especially with what happened with one of the other teams. The quarterbacks for the other two teams in the division that did finish the game look better than they have in weeks past. Part of that could be who they were playing. Part of that could be proper game planning. All I'm saying is I want the Philadelphia Eagles to be the team that looks up there and says, you know what, no matter what happens, we're going to go out and we're going to play ball and we're going to win all the games that we can. At that point, if we win every game that we can, I believe I had us at least with 12 wins. 12 wins wins the NFCs, period.
Yeah. I had
There's no team that's going to get over 12-5. I know we had some difference in what games we thought we'd lose, but I think 11 or 12 wins was pretty much the consensus. So this is a game we need to win. If we lose, it doesn't hurt too bad, but let's keep the momentum going. Let's get some separation in our division early. Let's basically, I've said it a couple times tonight. You hear me say it all the time. Let's put our foot on their throat and let's leave it there. Let's put them in a chokehold. And let's not take it off until they pass out or tap out.
Yeah, keep being aggressive. Mm-hmm. I don't know why they just weren't doing that against the Lions. It baffles me and how much the offense and defense changed going into that second half.
There should have been a lot more consistency. There shouldn't have been that change how we played.
Yeah, a lot of stupid screens. We're still seeing those. We're seeing
not as many, but
screens.
We are seeing more than we should. And I will say that's where I felt like Devontae Smith should have been more involved is the screens. I think he's a guy that, should have been able to make some plays on the screens. And I think he's a guy that we should look for those plays.
Yeah, I think they tried one to A.J. Brown and it didn't go anywhere. It got shut down immediately.
I don't think it's wise to try a screen to the guy that's been the focal point of the offense.
The whole offense, yeah. I agree.
Like the whole game. Like that's the guy you say, oh yeah, we're gonna do a screen with him.
Yeah. So he had like 155. I think Goddard, he had like 60 yards, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. And then Quez Watkins and Devontae Smith, they didn't really get a touch at all. So I mean, you're gonna have these games though. Some players like 1 week Devontae could blow up, 1 week Goddard could blow up. You know how it is. I mean, everyone's going to overreact to week one and about Devontae Smith. But I mean, Devontae even came out himself like, that's why we brought him in. That's why we brought AJ in, is to do what he just did. He's like, it's part of being a team. I mean, Devontae's going to have his opportunities, man. There's 16 more weeks left.
And I love the fact, completely love the fact that they have that love in their room where it's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, I didn't get as many targets as I want. None of that. We won the game. That's all that ever really matters. You win the game. That's what matters. All the other stuff is cute. It's fine. The stats, fantasy guys. I played Devontae Smith over Kenneth Gainwell. That didn't work out well for me this week. But I guarantee it'll work out well for me before the season's over.
Yeah.
So what you're going to see, to me, from Minnesota, you're going to see a team that says, we can't let A.J. Brown do that to us. We can't let A.J. Brown negate what we feel like Justin Jefferson is going to be able to do. So in order for us to do that, we've got to pay more attention to him. What that means is Devontae Smith, Dallas Goddard, the guy who wasn't targeted all last week, Quez Watkins, those guys should start to see the ball a little bit more. Now, if they're smart with how they play that, some good things should happen for the team. And that's basically what you're looking for here.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Is they're gonna kind of put some more focus on shutting down Hurts's run as well as shutting down AJ Brown, and man, that could be a big week, big night for Devontae Smith or Quez Watkins or Dallas Goedert, or I mean, who knows? They start putting Miles Sanders in the pass game a little bit, run some routes. Who knows? I mean, as long as that pocket isn't collapsing as much as it was against Detroit, they need to get that figured out as well. I mean, there was a couple plays that Hurts had some time, but man, they were blitzing a lot on us, but it didn't seem like they were trying to do as much to, prevent that blitz or try to stop them from, rushing like that or try to buy them a little bit more time. They need to try to figure that out a little bit because teams going forward are going to try to do that to stop Hurts. They think that's his weakness. So they're going to have to figure out how to prevent that here going forward.
I feel like part of me feels like they were kind of allowing the blitz.
You think?
Feeling like Hurts was going to be able to get away from it, which he did for most of the time. A lot of the slants that he threw or the little floater passes, a lot of his passes were short passes right behind where the defense would have been if they weren't blitzing. So I think once they realized that the Lions were going to blitz in the second and third quarter, I say fourth quarter, but in the second and third, I felt like they kind of adjusted and said, okay, let's drop Hurts back a few steps and let's try to throw where those blitzers would normally be at.
Yeah, you got a couple times where they were getting the ball swatted down too when he was trying to throw. Like there was one to Devontae that got swatted down. That would have been a pretty nice gain if he would have caught that. But yeah, I think there was 2 or 3 times where they got blocked down, and we didn't even mention there was a couple delay of game penalties. They weren't ready, trying to manage the clock and just trying to get the play, figure it out on the line. A lot of miscommunication there throughout the game. So they need to get that cleaned up as well. That was something we didn't mention about the offense. Was just a lot of penalties in this game on defense and offense, though. And I mean, that was a problem last year. They were able to get cleaned up. So hopefully they can get it cleaned up faster than they did last year.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely would like to see that. Excited about where I think things can go for the year.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm not down on him at all. I'm just a little worried about Jonathan Gannon. Everybody's got he's in the hot seat right now. Everybody's got eyes on Jonathan Gannon going into Monday night. So he better come out with a good game plan or else he's going to get roasted even harder.
As they should be.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Jonathan Gannon hasn't done anything to make you say he shouldn't be in the hot seat.
Yeah, he should have took one of them head coaching jobs in the off season.
I really wanted him to.
Could have brought like Vic Fangio or someone in on defensive coordinator.
I really wanted him to.
I think you and everybody else, because we were sick of him by the end of the season, man.
Yeah, it was not a lot that he did. I felt like to be there for the team in the fourth. Man, I just don't like, let's go prevent the whole game. Let's not do this. Let's not do that. I just don't like that.
Yeah, I hate seeing the corners playing 10 yards out from a receiver. Where he's like, okay, they're guaranteeing them pretty much the first down, at least. Okay, what are you going to do from there? Let them get another first down and then try to stop them in the red zone, and then you're stuck. He's like, why don't we try to stop them before we get to the red zone? That might work out a little bit better.
Revolutionary thoughts, sir. Revolutionary.
Right? I don't know why he didn't think about this.
I don't know why he didn't, but I know that he didn't. But there's only one thing I can say to sum up the play call in the fourth quarter. That's all I can say about the play call in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Like it was so bad. I had to send you a message. Like, man, this defense, man, is pissing me off so bad right now.
Bro, listen, man. I was so mad. I saw the message. I was like, I'm gonna just respond to him later. I can't even right now. I'm so mad at him.
It was the same thing. It was the same thought.
it just has to be consistent, man. If you just stay consistent, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like this is a team that I feel like is very susceptible to big plays on off on defense for the other team's offense if you just play right. Run the ball, get them lured into the run, and then take the shots.
Yeah. And
That's what needs to happen.
if they were taking some shots and they were blitzing more or they were sending 5 guys instead of 4, then I would be okay if something happened and say if there was a big play because they rushed more people or because they were taking a chance on something. It would make a little bit more sense, but you're just kind of letting them do whatever they want and then hoping you hold them by the time you get to the end zone. It just doesn't make much sense. Like take some chances. I would rather us take chances and possibly have it fail than just all right, just we'll maybe stop them. Hopefully we'll stop them.
Yeah, we have to understand also no lead is enough.
Yeah.
No lead's enough. No offensive or defensive lead is enough, right? There's people that have said before, like, oh, you get the games, you're up by a couple of touchdowns, just play pre-big, get the game over with. No, let's keep scoring. We're worried about injuries. Guess what? We already have injuries. We're going to have more. But guess what we can do? We can win the games that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
We can sign someone when someone gets hurt, just like we did this week, and continue playing. At the end of the day, you got to go through a whole season. Our Super Bowl season 5 years ago, and I'm not saying we're getting to the Super Bowl again, just want to prove a point. We had a lot of guys hurt in the line. We had a lot of different guys that we had to plug in.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to run the ball when we needed to, and we had enough left offensively to get the big plays down the field when we needed it, or the big catches. That's all we're looking for now. We have more talent than that team did. Where we finish that depends on the coaching staff. It depends on the heart of the players. It depends on the reads that Jalen Hurts made, the cuts that Miles Sanders made. And I want to give Miles Sanders some props. 13 carries for 96 yards, but that's not even what I want to give him props for. The way that he ran. There was maybe one time I was like, this dude. But for the most part, he got the ball. He had one or two holes. He chose one and he went. He was fighting for yards. He was being aggressive. So I like that. I like the fact that the other backs got some carries, but not as much. A lot of people complain. I'll say this. I'd rather have him have 13, 14 carries a game, get around 100 yards and a touchdown, and be there than we try to run him 25, 30 times a game, and he gets hurt.
Yeah, I agree.
And what I don't want, though, is I don't want the 5 carries. He needs at least 13 and 15. Because he almost had 100, I'm good with it, but I'd say we want to give him about 15 carries a game. That's it. He's an explosive guy. You give him enough carries where he can make some damage. Then in the fourth quarter, it's a tight game. You do what we did. Give him the ball and then make some big plays. He can catch the ball as well. Use him. Win the game. Let's go home.
Yeah. It seems like they kind of found what they want to do as far as an offense here going into a year 2 with the same offense. And going back to what you were saying about that Super Bowl season, that was a season where under that offense or anything, we weren't letting off the gas. We weren't taking our foot up off their necks. There was a couple games that season, like I think we played the Jets, more specifically like the game we played against the Broncos. We hung a 50 burger on them because every single drive we just kept pounding it on them, passing, rushing with Jay Ajayi. He had huge runs that game. LeGarrette Blount had huge runs, but we didn't take our foot off the gas the whole time. They weren't even scoring on us, and we just kept going down and scoring no matter what. That's the mentality this team needs to have, like you were saying, because then who's going to stop you? If that defense is a little like Swiss cheese and you getting eaten up, you're still scoring every drive. It shouldn't matter. It's like the Chiefs when they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Their defense wasn't great. They were getting 20 points put up on them pretty much a game, but their offense was scoring 40 or 30 something. So it's like the defense just needs to be serviceable. And this team and this defense right now should be more than that. And we know that. The team knows that. So it's like there's no excuse for the way that we're playing. I know it's week 1. Hopefully you get it worked out. But going into a big week 2 against a really good offense, possibly depending on Kirk Cousins that shows up, it could be problems. Could be problems for Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely could, man. It's a lot that could and has gone wrong before. Just want to try to focus on the positives as much as possible, clean up the bad, um, and continue to do the things that work. Make adjustments, and then make adjustments to those adjustments. If you make adjustments and it works, don't stop. If they start to adjust to that, make more adjustments. Jonathan Gannon, let the guys play. Shane Steichen, do not allow anyone, including your head coach, to tell you take your foot off the gas.
Yeah.
Nick Sirianni, I said this last year, and we saw it this game. You being able to coach the whole team is more beneficial than you play calling.
Yeah.
You've seen it. The announcers even talked about it during the game. You're better used, and this is why I don't like the coaches that call plays. You're better used when you can focus on whatever side of the ball needs it. If the defense needs to be hyped up because they gave up an early score, if the head coach is not saddled with trying to run the offense, then he can hype up the defense. If he's not the play caller for the defense, it's easier for him to hype up the defense. If he's a play caller, then they look at you like you're the one to call the plays that causes it to happen, right? But if you're allowing your coordinator to do his job, then you can step in as the head coach and say, look, guys, this is what I expect from each and every one of y'all on this team. So let's go do it.
Yeah.
And
so, that's why I hate about Doug, man. As he's just like, he wanted to call plays every game. It wasn't until the very end when he gave up play calling and he gave it up to the wrong dude. It was like, no, this is
the
worse.
best one's gonna give it to you. Yeah, exactly. And for anybody who is a fan of the Vikings, whether you see this or not, before we go, there's one thing I have to say to you.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Is like, even though we talking about what maybe a possible liability in this defense, we still want to go out there and have these birds win and go out there and put on a show and do something special against this team, because we know they can do it. We know these birds can do it. If anybody else could beat these Vikings, we can. Come on now, we got a better team than a lot of the other teams, and I'm sure the Vikings are going to get beat by lesser teams than us. We just got to put it all together and put a complete game, put a complete team out there on the field, and hopefully they can do that here this Monday night. Big, the spotlight's going to be on this team specifically here. Everybody's going to be looking to see what Jalen Hurts can do in this offense.
And to that,
my brother, testify.
I didn't see that one before.
I always pull out something new on Wyatt, guys.
Oh, man. Straight up.
But yeah, man, this is the week to shut some people up. Fans, non-fans, this is the week to shut some people up. I'm excited. I know it's going to happen. And when it does, be ready. Get your popcorn ready.
Yeah. Because if we win on Monday night, that's when you're going to be seeing, like, on ESPN. I don't watch ESPN and whatever now, but are the Eagles for real? Is Jalen Hurts the real deal? Like, this is where you're going to be seeing the headlines if the Eagles win on Monday night. They're going to be put in that conversation more going through the season here.
Absolutely, man. So, want to thank you, Wyatt. I know we got a little bit of a late start. We shifted days a little bit. Everybody who came on, watched a little bit of the live. Everyone who sees the replay. This is the season. It's all Eagles all the time. Interactive. Didn't have a lot of interaction tonight. It's all good. Different time. Got the game on. But guess what? Watch your boys talk about the Eagles or watch two other teams play. If you're watching that game instead of being on here, shame on you. And I'm going to go old school.
Shame.
Shame. But yeah, so, this is it. We're at the end of the show. We give you an hour and 5 minutes of commentary, thoughts, and all that on the Philadelphia Eagles. You can catch us next week back at our regular time, Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For your boy Wyatt. This is your boy Cool. Wyatt, tell them where we can find you.
Yeah, of course, you can find me on Twitter at Cinema Trip Views and Squad Pod Sports, and also on YouTube at Waste 5 Media and Cinema Trip Reviews.
You can find me tomorrow night, playcollegesportstalk.com/live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also find me Saturday, actually at the same place, or here, wherever your watching preference is for the NFC Beast. We coming, and it's gonna be a fun time. And that's at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, guys, appreciate everybody watching. Everybody that will watch, hit that like button, hit that share button. If you haven't already, hit us with that subscribe. Next Wednesday, be ready. Win or lose, it's coming.
Yes, sir. Hashtag be elite and
Hashtag Fly Eagles Fly.
fly Eagles fly.